Hello everybody. I've got a bit of a story time for you today because it's like 11 o'clock at night. I've just gotten home from the theatre, still got my lanyard and everything on. But tonight has been one of the most amazing shifts at the theatre probably ever, and I don't think I ever want to forget it, so I want to put it on video. So tonight I got there nice and early, got mince pie and a cup of tea to start off after having what feels like a very long day. I got about 4 hours sleep last night, was at the spa this morning and this afternoon, finished at about 3:30, came home, had a bit of a quiet time, ate an omelette, and then left the house at about 4:45 to fill up my car and go to the theatre. This is just preamble. It's got nothing to do with the story. But yeah, so I got to the theatre with a new book because I finished a book last night. So I bought a new book in case I was on the outside, which I was. I wasn't inside the theatre tonight, I was outside the theatre. And so I was selling like merchandise and stuff and helping people with questions as they got to the theatre because it's been refurbed, so everything looks different and nobody knows where anything is. Kind of like the staff as well, because we're still very confused. It's only been open for a few months, and so I thought it was going to be a fairly uneventful shift. I thought, all right, so during the show I'll read my book, and then in the interval I'll sell ice creams and merch, and then in the second half of the show I'll just read, and then at the end of the show I'll dance with the orchestras like I normally do and tidy up and go home. That wasn't my shift at all. Well, there's a couple of things in there that I did do, but the majority of it was nothing like that. So we get everybody in. I sit at the top in front of the screen so that I'm ready for if we have any latecomers. So we did have some latecomers, so I took them in at latecomer point, which is when Dorothy is singing Over the Rainbow. How lovely. So you get to the end of the song, you take them in. Then I come out, I start reading, and then I think it's one of the first times Miss Gulch enters the stage. A little girl and her mum come out with very strong American accents, to the point where I'm just like, I'm sure I know the accent, but I'm not completely sure where. There was a point when I almost thought they were Canadian, but they weren't. They ended up telling me that they were actually from Boston, so that was why I recognised the accent and why I thought it was quite strong. But yes, it was a little 5-year-old girl with a Boston accent, as in America Boston, not like UK Boston. Yeah, and she was so cute. Her name was Mia, I think, or Maya, and she was the sweetest little girl. She was really scared of Miss Gulch and the witch, so with her mum's permission and everything, I was talking to her and kind of helping her to understand what was happening. I was just like, do you play pretend? And her mum was like, yeah, she plays pretend with like her sister, cousins and stuff like that. She's just like, yes, so basically that's what they're doing on the stage. They're playing pretend, they just got better access to like costumes and makeup. And she's like, oh, okay. And so there was points when she was really terrified to go back in, and so I was just like, okay, so I know when all the scary parts are because I've seen the show a few times now. You know, it's been on since the beginning of December and I've worked on it quite a lot, so I know when everything's happening. So I let her know when the scary parts were coming up. So I was just like, okay, so we might be seeing the witch soon, so you might want to hug with your mum, or you might want to hide behind a chair if that's what you want to do. So when the witch came on, she was like hiding behind the chair that she was sitting on, snuggling into her mum a little bit. I also met the dad as well. The dad came out a few times, and so I was just like, so obviously you got like the sepia black and white bit at the beginning. Everybody's like in neutral clothes. There's not really much colour on the stage, and I was just like, so she's already seen that we have a dog in the show. There's 2 dogs playing Toto, and then when it goes into Over the Rainbow, when she goes over the rainbow and finds out and finds herself in Munchkin Land, it turns into a puppet. And she didn't quite understand the premise of the puppet, so I was just like, look, there's, so that we've got a lovely girl called Elsa, who is basically a puppeteer, so she moves the puppet, and she's like, oh, so who's playing the puppet? I was like, do you have like any cuddly toys? And she was like, yeah, it's kind of like having a cuddly toy, and she's moving the cuddly toy around the stage. And she was like, oh, that's really cool, in the little Boston accent, which I can't do. And it was just one of my favourite shifts ever. And I actually, by the end of the show, I was like famous in the family. So they're like, oh, so this is the infamous Debbie who has been talking her through the show. Because she was very much talking about it from like, she wanted to know what it actually was. So she was just like, because she knew that it wasn't real. And so I was just like, yeah, so it's not real, you know, it's Dorothy's dream. And you'll notice that, like, people look familiar because people you introduced to at the beginning of the story, when they were like in the black and white bit, look very similar to people in the colour section, you know, with it gets all really bright when she goes over the rainbow. And so we were looking at pictures in the programme. She was looking at pictures of the witch as she is in real life. And that was another part where I was just like saying, you know, because you'll notice that it's the same person who's playing Miss Goldchan the witch. And in real life, her name is Polly, like Polly Pocket. And she was just like, oh, yay. So I managed to get her to associate the witch with Polly Pocket a little bit, and remembering that fantasy kind of things. But my favourite part of the show, when she was out, because she was getting a bit worked up about seeing the Tin Man. We're not really sure why, because we were just like, you know, the Tin Man's a goodie, and he dances and sings and stuff. I'm going really northern. I've been very northern tonight, I don't know why. And so she kept referring to the Tin Man as the Tin Can, and it stuck. It's the Tin Can now. So to the actor who plays the Tin Man at Leeds Playhouse, yeah, you're the Tin Can. You're so the Tin Can. Yeah, so I just wanted to share because it was such a good shift, and the little girl was so sweet. And at the very, very end of the show, I got to give a small goodbye to the little girl, but it was the family who kept coming up to me and saying, so you're the famous Debs, you're the famous Debbie. And there was like 15 of them, it felt. It probably wasn't that many, there was a lot of them though, and they kept coming out and saying, so you're the famous Debbie. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to be infamous in this family now as being the girl who distracted her throughout the whole show. Apparently I made it too entertaining on the outside for her, but it was only because she was so scared to go back in, so I was trying to get her to look at things from a different way and trying to make her want to go back in to see things. So yeah, but she was so sweet, and the way she was asking questions was just so cute, and the way she said girl was so cute as well. I don't think I could do it. It was almost a bit like you know, in Despicable Me when he goes girls. It was almost like that, but obviously coming out of a cute little girl with a Boston accent. As you can see, I'm just smiling so much. It was just so funny, and it was such a good night. And I also did really well on my merch, because usually merch number 2, which what I was doing, doesn't really sell very much, but I sold like 8 programs. I sold 2 pairs of ruby slippers. And then we've also got what is essentially like a map of like Oz and Munchkinland, and we sell those. And a girl came up to me saying that she wanted to have a look at them, so I showed her what we got, and saying that we can sell them either by like the poster, or we do also sell one with a frame. And she was just like, oh, I need to go back and ask. So she came back with her family, and she was just like, we want the frame, we want the one with the frame, I really like the frame. So we set aside a picture with a frame for her so that she could get it at the end of the show. I took the money, and then we just held it back to the end of the show because it was really big. But yeah, so I did well on my merch, and I got to entertain a little girl all night. It was just so much fun. I just needed to get it on camera because it was just, the cat is playing with his toy. But yeah, it's been such a good night. And so if the Boston family ever sees this, thank you for making this one of my favourite shifts at the theatre, because it can get really repetitive. It can get a little repetitive sometimes. Not that I've never had a bad shift at the theatre. It was such a unique night that I know will never happen again. So thank you very much to what was known as my Boston family at the Playhouse on the 20th of December 2019. It's been a great night. Thank you so much.